She hit my son with a shoe, then sent him outside into a thunderstorm, and still had the nerve to sip champagne like nothing happened. If you've ever been underestimated for being a single parent, or made to feel small by your own family, then this story is for you. Subscribe to our channel, and drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from. You're not alone, and neither was I. Hi, I'm Anna Sliver and I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I want to tell you the story of the day I stopped pretending. The day I stopped making excuses for people who never respected me, including my own sister. It started with the rain. Heavy, gray skies pressing down on the city like a warning. I was standing at the kitchen sink in my tiny apartment, staring out the window, when my phone rang. I didn't even look at the screen. I just answered, expecting maybe a spam call. But it was my son. Mommy. Brad's voice was soft, shaky. I froze. Hey, baby, what's wrong? There was a long pause, then. Auntie Olivia said I'm too loud. She told me to go outside. What? My chest tightened. Outside where? I'm outside now, it's raining. I'm cold. I don't remember hanging up. I don't even remember grabbing my keys. I just ran. Out the door. Down the stairs. I think I locked the door behind me. Maybe not. The rain was coming down in sheets. The kind that soaks you in seconds. I drove like a madwoman. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely keep the wheel steady. The windshield wipers screeched like they were screaming with me. And then I saw him. Brad, my 6-year-old baby. Sitting on the front steps of Olivia's picture-perfect suburban house. Curled into himself. Soaked through. His tiny backpack was wide open beside him. Books. Socks, underwear all wet and clinging to the concrete. His lips were blue. His eyes were red. He didn't even cry when he saw me. I ran to him, pulled him into my arms. She hit me with a shoe. Mama, he whispered into my neck. I was just singing. I wasn't even yelling. My heart broke wide open. Right there on that wet porch. I carried him to the car, shielding him with my body. I didn't even glance at the front door. But of course, Olivia came out anyway. Like this was nothing. She had a mimosa in her hand. Not even a smear in her perfect makeup. Seriously, Anna, she said, all light and breezy. It's not that deep. He was being obnoxious, screaming like a banshee. I had a Zoom call. I needed peace. I turned to her slowly, still clutching Brad to my chest. You hit him, I said. Not even a question. A truth. Olivia scoffed. Don't be dramatic. It was a slipper. Kids need discipline. Maybe if you weren't always coddling him like a fragile doll. You threw my son outside in a thunderstorm, I snapped. And now you're sipping champagne like this is normal. She rolled her eyes. He's fine, Anna. Stop acting like this is abuse. You always play victim. I put Brad in the car. Buckled him up. Then I turned back to her, and for the first time in my life, I didn't hold my tongue. You think being the golden child makes you right. You think your perfect house and fancy wedding and smug little life make you better than me. She just raised her eyebrows, like I was making a scene. You didn't deserve to watch him, I said. You won't get the chance again. And I meant it. I got into the car and drove away, Brad's hand in mine the whole way. My son's safety meant more than keeping the peace. And if being the black sheep meant protecting him, then I'd wear that label with pride. Sometimes, the people closest to us show us the coldest truths. But we don't have to stay silent. If this story hit home, share it. Like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments, have you ever had to cut off a toxic family member? To protect your peace. The silence from my parents was louder than ever. Not a call, not a message to check on Brad. Nothing but wedding updates in the family group chat. Olivia's dress, the cake, the seating chart, photos of her at the spa with our mom. I stared at each message, my stomach churning, but my face calm, because behind the scenes, I was working. By Wednesday, 4 days before the wedding, I had quietly bought out not only the venue but the contract with the wedding decorator, too. I'd even taken over the bookings with the catering staff, an upscale Legos fusion team Olivia had been bragging about for weeks. I didn't cancel anything yet. I wanted it timed perfectly. That Friday, I was on the phone with my lawyer when I heard Brad laugh from the living room. That sound, it was all I needed. He was okay. He was healing, and I wasn't going to let anyone who hurt him get away with it. Later that day, I picked him up in my arms and kissed his cheek. "Do you want to help Mommy with something important?" I asked. He nodded, eyes wide. "Is it a secret mission?" I smiled. "The most secret one ever." He giggled, and for a moment, I remembered who I used to be, the girl who would have cried quietly in her room and just moved on. But not anymore. Saturday, one day before the wedding. It was around noon when my phone rang. "Mom, Anna, where are you?" she asked, slightly breathless. "Home," I replied plainly. There's a huge issue with the venue. They said the wedding is off. The decorator says someone else owns the contract now. What's going on?" I didn't say anything at first. I let the silence hang, just like they had when I called crying about Brad. "Anna," she said again, her voice dropping, "please tell me this isn't you." I took a slow breath. "Funny," I said. "You didn't believe me when I told you Olivia left Brad outside in the storm. But you believe I could buy an entire venue and cancel a wedding without blinking." She was quiet. "I didn't ruin anything," I added softly. "Your golden child did. I just made sure she felt it." Then I ended the call. Sunday, the wedding day. I didn't plan on going. Honestly, I had already made peace with being the outcast. But around noon, as Brad was playing quietly with his crayons, I got a text from Olivia. "You've made your point. Can we talk?" 10 minutes later, another one came in. "Please." So I went. Not for revenge. Not for closure. Just to see what she looked like when the mask fell off. I arrived at what was supposed to be her big day, only to find Olivia sitting alone in the parking lot of a shuttered venue, still in her silk robe. No flowers, no music, no guests, just her, and a cold mimosa she hadn't touched. When she saw me, she stood. Her eyes were red. "I didn't mean to hurt him," she said quickly. "It was just a bad moment. Stress. I messed up. Okay, can we fix this?" I walked up slowly, folded my arms. "Do you even remember what he said to me on that porch?" I asked. He was shivering. "Olivia." He said, "She hit me with a shoe, Mama. I was just singing. Do you know how small you made my son feel?" "I know," she whispered, looking down. I was wrong. I let the silence do the rest. Then I turned around. "You don't get to hurt us and expect a hug after. This was never about your wedding. It was about Brad, and you failed him." As I walked away, she called after me. "Anna, please don't do this to the family." I stopped, looked back. "You did this to yourself. And trust me, this family was broken long before I got brave enough to stop pretending it wasn't." Crowded hall filled with whispers, judgment, and truths she could no longer outrun. Olivia stood there, shaking, her voice barely above a whisper. "You ruined everything." I looked at her, not with hate, but with the kind of cold clarity that comes from years of being silenced. "No," I said, my voice firm. "You did. The moment you laid your hands on Brad, the moment you decided a Zoom call mattered more than a 6-year-old's life, that's when you lost everything." She blinked fast, looking around, but no one came to her rescue. Even her bridesmaids, the ones who used to side-eye me at family events, stood still, watching me with something like respect. One of them, Rachel, stepped forward, her heels echoing on the marble floor. "Anna," she said softly, "I never knew all of this." "I'm sorry." I nodded. "He's the reason I'm still standing." I looked down at Brad, who smiled up at me like a little prince in his gray suit. And then Olivia's voice cracked. "Please, Anna, tell them it's not true. Tell them the video was fake. That I didn't really. You want me to lie." I raised an eyebrow. "To protect you, again." Tears ran freely now. Her voice lost all that usual superiority. "I don't have anyone left." I took a step forward, calmly. "Neither did I. But I built myself back. Quietly. Without parades. Without family." She fell silent. Behind her, our father reached out weakly, then let his hand fall when he saw my eyes. Mom shifted uncomfortably beside him, clutching her purse like it would shield her from shame. I turned my back to all of them and faced the small crowd instead. "Thank you," I said, "for coming to see me. Not the failure they always described. Not the mess they whispered about. Just a woman who fought her way out with her child in one hand and her dignity in the other." A quiet applause broke out. Some clapped for real, others just nodded, stunned. It was enough. And Brad, he clapped too. "Go mommy," he whispered. Company I'd built from the ground up, the same one Olivia once mocked as your little side hustle, was now expanding into Abuja. I had a team of 15, a loyal client base, and Brad's drawing of a rocket ship framed on the office wall. I'd just finished the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Brad was beside me, holding a tiny pair of golden scissors, proud as ever. Reporters were snapping pictures. My name was on the glass door in gold lettering, Anna Sliver & Co. That's when I saw them. My parents, standing awkwardly on the sidewalk, looking older, smaller somehow. Mom's hands were clenched around her purse. Dad looked like he wanted to melt into the pavement. I hadn't invited them, but I wasn't surprised they showed up. My success had gone viral after that night, first quietly in whispers, then loudly when national outlets picked up the footage, the story, the follow-up. The single mom who turned the narrative around. I turned to Brad and whispered, "Why don't you go show Mr. Chuka your drawing?" He nodded and ran inside with a big smile. I faced my parents. "Anna," my father began, "we just wanted to say, we're proud of you." I let the words hang. Not out of anger, but out of curiosity. It took them 6 years to say it. And they chose to say it now, when the world had clapped. My mother stepped forward, eyes watery. "I know we made mistakes. But families survive things. We're still your family." I smiled softly. "No, you were my blood. Family would have protected Brad. Family would have held me when I was crying at midnight because your golden child threw my baby into the cold." My mom's voice cracked. "You won't even give us a chance." I took a slow breath. "You had chances. Every birthday you skipped. Every call you didn't return. Every post where you pretended we didn't exist. I gave you more grace than you ever gave me." She looked like she wanted to speak again, but I shook my head gently. "This place," I said, gesturing to the building, "the celebration, the staff, the success, was built without you. It'll stay that way." And with that, I walked inside, where my son waited, safe, warm, and dancing again with one of my junior designers. It was a quiet Thursday afternoon. The office had just closed early for a team celebration, our third expansion in less than 2 years. Brad's photo with his soccer trophy was now framed on my desk, his laughter still echoing in my ears from our drive earlier. I was sipping tea by the window, watching the golden sunset over the city skyline, when I heard the knock. It wasn't hesitant. It wasn't urgent. Just soft. When I opened the door, I almost didn't recognize her. Olivia. Gone was the glamorous bride. The polished influencer. The girl who lived for camera angles and curated moments. Standing before me was a woman stripped bare. No makeup, no filters, just vulnerability. Her hoodie swallowed her small frame, and the folder in her hands trembled as much as her lips. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Her voice cracked like glass. "I lost everything," she said, barely meeting my eyes. "Sponsors, clients, my fiancé, friends I thought would stand by me." She looked down. "I thought I was strong because I was loud. Because people clapped when I walked into a room. But strength isn't what you show people, it's what you carry when no one sees you." She held out the folder. I took it with hesitation. Inside were therapy reports, documentation of court-recommended anger management, a notarized apology, and a sealed letter. "To Brad," she said quietly. "He doesn't ever have to read it. But he deserved more than my silence. And so did you." My throat tightened. She took a shaky breath. "I don't expect forgiveness. I had to own it. I don't know if I'll ever forgive myself." I didn't speak. I couldn't. But I didn't shut the door either. Because as much as I wanted to slam it in her face, I remembered Brad's words that night. "Why did they hate me, Mommy?" He wasn't just asking about Olivia. He was asking about the world. And I never wanted my son to grow up thinking that when people fail you, the only way forward is hate. No, he deserved to see something better. Something harder, but more honest. So I nodded slowly and took the folder. Not for Olivia, for Brad, so that one day, when he's ready, he'll know that even people who break us can try to rebuild what they shattered. That sometimes the worst ones learn. That even monsters can kneel. And that no matter how dark things get, the truth always finds the light. If this story moved you, or if you've ever had to protect someone you love from your own family, you're not alone. Share this story, tell us what you think about the story. And please subscribe to our channel for more stories of truth, strength, and the people who rise anyway. Because sometimes, silence is betrayal. But speaking out, that's power.